Hello there everyone, it is Simon back here again for a review of the Bahrain qualifying. Some shocks, some surprises, and obviously some no surprises, but I will be going through Q1 to Q2 to Q3 and sort of seeing how I think how things will go tomorrow. And then we'll go. So going straight into Q1, we won't mess about too much. Like I say, I'd say the biggest shock I think of them all was Sebastian Vettel going out in the first sort of qualifying. I don't understand what's going on with him. No idea. It's not looking good. He qualified, I think, 18th. I think he was. I think it was. So not looking good really for him. And like I say, it's not great at all. I mean, considering he was only 0.4 ahead of Mick Schumacher, who's in a Haas. So, what does that say? Is there anything wrong with the Aston Martin? We don't know. Probably the best performance I think in Q1 was probably Yuki Tsunoda. If I've pronounced that right, apologies if I haven't. Fantastic performance from him and qualifying into Q2. And like I said, I sort of heard sort of seen great things on sort of Google and stuff like that. And obviously sort of looking fantastic. And yeah, got into Q2. Esteban Ocon, he's in the team of now Alpine, or Alpine, whatever you want to call it. Not great, out of Q1. Bit of a shock, really, I suppose, but considering the performances of the last year with them, even though they were Renault last year, sort of surprise, really. So there's that. And also, going to the rest of the Q1, the rookies of for Haas, so obviously both went out, was not a surprise, but with Nikita Marzipan sort of, I think, finishing stone cold last, Mick Schumacher in 19th. And obviously, like I say, for Sebastian Vettel, just ahead by like 0.3, 0.4, I think it was, or something like that. So, boring times, I think, for Vettel. Anyway, but that's the rookies both out sort of in Q1. Probably another sort of surprise, I suppose, but sort of not a surprise because he sort of did it a few times last year. George Russell qualifying for Q2 with a nice quick time. But like I say, at this time, I think the sort of the big boys were holding a little bit something back. So I think, as I say, it's just sort of looking forward to see what George Russell can do in the race tomorrow. So fantastic. Both of the Alphas, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, they look pretty good. Like I say, I can't complain about them. Very, very good. Obviously, Kimi Raikkonen, obviously one of sort of my favourite drivers of all time. So yeah, looking sort of pretty good, and Giovinazzi is looking really good as well. So it's good to sort of see them get through the first round of qualifying. And probably comes as sort of no surprise, Max Verstappen sort of got first in Q1, so it was the quickest in Q1, should I say. But not with the sort of the cleanest of laps, which obviously probably doesn't bode well for the rest of the field. Obviously, if he's not doing a clean up and he's still getting in first place, that says something about the driver. So there we go. So that's sort of Q1 sort of summed up really in a way. Going into Q2. So I say probably, like I said, I've sort of highly rated this guy, and I've sort of mentioned him a couple of times in my sort of, sort of like my reviews of like this before the season sort of started about Pierre Gasly. Very, very quick, very, very, very quick. Goes into Q3. Fantastic drive from him. Looking really good. I can't sort of speak highly enough of him, like I said. I think he will be in the top 3 in the future of the sort of manufacturers sort of thing. I can personally see him. I can personally see him in a Red Bull when he back in the Red Bull again. I think he is that good. But then again, AlphaTauri probably have their own sort of ambitions and to sort of go far in them. But that's it. So looking good. So both of the McLarens also, like I say, they're looking pretty decent as well. From obviously like I sort of reviewed them before the season sort of started. Obviously, me loving McLaren through and through, big massive supporter of them. And they sort of, both of them, Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo, sort of very, very quick and looking really strong, really. But like I said, usually with sort of the big teams, are sort of, they're holding something back, so it sort of gives rest of the midfield sort of like to sort of battle out to get into the Q3, and they both did. So which is brilliant. So Sebastian Vettel's teammate Lance Stroll for Aston Martin also got through to Q3. Probably sort of comes as no surprise really, because he sort of had a decent sort of season last year. He raced really, really well. I think he's probably one of the ones to watch out. I didn't sort of really know him that much, but I think he's one of these ones that's going to sort of surprise a lot of people again this year, I suppose. So fantastic indeed. So there we go. So probably sort of, I suppose, probably the biggest shock of all was Sergio Perez not making Q3. He got 11th, which obviously he probably didn't want. He was obviously probably aiming sort of like the top sort of like 4 to 6 spaces. But yeah, so a bit of a surprise on that. So very, very surprised with Sergio Perez not qualifying, as I sort of praised him a lot in the sort of preview before this season. So, but anyway, so Ferraris are 1 and 2 fastest in Q2. But like I say, I think all the big boys were holding something back. Not saying Ferrari not big boys, they are big boys, but like I say, I think because they're sort of rebuilding, they'll always be a big team, Ferrari. You can't argue with the drivers they've had over the years. So fantastic. So, and sort of the last bit of news for Q2, Fernando Alonso, the raging Fernando Alonso, looking fantastic. Gets into Q3 as well. So I don't know whether it's a surprise or not. I don't know, but if you're going by last year, probably doesn't come as a surprise. But the reasons why I'm sort of surprised a little bit because of Esteban Ocon going out in Q1. But it just goes to show if Fernando Alonso's still got it, and he'll be battling up there, I suppose, for some decent points with the rest of sort of like the midfielders. I don't think he will win the race, but like I say never. But we shall see indeed. So. But there we go. So going into Q3 and the final qualifying of Bahrain, and so sort of come as a sort of no sort of surprise. To be fair, that sort of sorry, I just sort of see them on TV. Sort of very funny. Like I said, come as sort of no surprise. Max Verstappen gets pole. Looks very, very strong. And I think he's going to be obviously the man to beat. I think, and he's obviously going to be the man for challenging this year with Lewis Hamilton. I think it's going to actually happen this year, where we probably could potentially see. I know it's only the sort of the first bit of qualifying, no racing yet, but it's exciting times, and they're following through from what they've done in testing and practicing. They're looking really, really strong. Max Verstappen is anyway. So obviously, like I say, Hamilton got 2nd place, and obviously Bottas got 3rd. So they're looking sort of okay, but I think they will be struggling behind Max Verstappen. I think he is the man to win the race, but I will get to that in a minute. So standout performances: Pierre Gasly gets 5th, and Charles Leclerc gets 4th. Very, very good. Very good driving there from the pair of them. Like I sort of said in a couple of minutes ago with Pierre Gasly. Fantastic. Like I say, for me, he's the one to watch, I think, probably this year. Him and his teammate, I suppose, Yuki Tsunoda, looking very, very strong. So very good. And obviously Charles Leclerc, fantastic performance in the Ferrari in 4th place. Brilliant place to be in. And I'm sure he'll have his eyes on probably upsetting some of the big boys in front of him. The other big boys, let's say, because Ferrari are big boys themselves. So, going into, like I say, sort of a couple of bits more, that's what I wouldn't say news, but sort of what I'm sort of going to talk about. Fernando Alonso eventually qualifies 9th. I think that's a very decent performance from, Fernando Alonso's return. I think a great performance from him. And who knows what he can get, and potentially sort of could get some big points. For Alpine, and could upset a few people and could get something in return for his good performance, I think. You can't argue with him, to be fair. I think it's been a brilliant day for Fernando Alonso, and not so good for his teammate, but there we go. So, and obviously, sort of my team, McLaren's sort of both finished 6th and 7th, Daniel Ricciardo 6th, and Lando Norris 7th. Looking pretty good, looking pretty good. I think this is sort of similar to sort of last year, I think. I don't think there's sort of, in my eyes, any difference. Obviously, the only sort of difference, I think they're both sort of Mercedes powered now. So they're looking sort of good, and it's nice to sort of see them sort of up there compared to sort of like a few years ago when they really were struggling, literally getting out of, sort of finishing sort of out of Q1, trying to get a Q1 is sort of a struggle. So trying to get into Q2 was a struggle, obviously, for them back in the day. But anyway, so yeah, so overall, like I said, they're looking strong. So there we go. So as for the race for tomorrow, what do I think is going to happen? Well, I think Verstappen wins. You can't rule out Hamilton, obviously, and you can't rule out Bottas. I just think them two this year, it's going to be an absolute mammoth battle, and I'm looking forward to every single qualifying race. I think it's going to be a fantastic season with them two. Like I say, even though I have put Hamilton to win the whole season, win the Drivers' Championship for an 8th time, but we shall see. But Max Verstappen at the moment is looking unbelievable and formidable, and I think he will win the Bahrain Grand Prix. And like I say, Hamilton I think will come second, and obviously I think Bottas. You just never know. Bottas, sort of when sort of the chips are down, he is sort of a bit known to sort of make a few mistakes, and like I say, with the drivers behind him, obviously all hungry, ready to pass him that lot, and look out for the Ferraris. Like I say, with Charles Leclerc 4th, he's right behind. He's side by side of Valtteri Bottas, and we shall see. And obviously, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the other chaps as well. But overall, a really good qualifying, and some fantastic to watch. So that would be it for this sort of review of my thoughts on that lot of the Bahrain qualifying, and looking forward to the Bahrain Grand Prix tomorrow. And obviously, yeah, so fantastic. So, as always, people, and like I say, that will be it for now. And like I say, swing by my channel on YouTube, Fat Boy Site is the name. And I greatly appreciate it if you subscribe. Obviously, subscribe to me, and obviously give me a like, and obviously comments are welcome, and give me your thoughts on what you think is going to potentially sort of happen, not only this race but in the coming season in general, and what you think is going to sort of happen. But there we go. So that will be it. So from 1 to 3, Verstappen wins, Hamilton second, and it could be for me. I'm going to go for a toss up between. I'm going to go for a potential of a Bottas third or Leclerc third. So I think it's going to be a very, very close race. So there we go. So as always, people, that would be it. And then, like I say, hopefully I will join you again for tomorrow's sort of review on the race itself of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and sort of give you my thoughts on what I think. What I think is sort of hopefully going to happen in the future races after sort of tomorrow's sort of race, and go from there. But so that will be it, people. So as always, like I say, you all take care and stay safe and have a lovely weekend, and I shall catch you hopefully tomorrow after the Bahrain Grand Prix and give you my review of it all. So take care and stay safe, everyone, and I shall talk to you all soon. Bye bye, everyone.